Okay. So good afternoon, anyone who's watching. If you want to say hi, you can totally say hi in the chat. My goal is to kind of just go over papers and make them fun and see what we can learn. This is the first time I'm looking at any of the papers. Well, basically the first time. I haven't really done a good search or anything yet. So let's just get into something. What I've enjoyed has been which paper is this? Has been going into Reddit and looking up what's being popular or what's getting popular and upvoted, and seeing just what the science is, if it's science. And I should say specifically our science. That's what I've been going into. All right, so let's look at this guy. Oh, it's a Canadian paper. Cool. Face masks and the cardiorespiratory response to physical activity in health and disease. All right. I find it difficult to work in this in a PDF like this. Yeah. And as I went over in the last video, oh my god, this is why it's hard, because I can't really do anything with it. I'm gonna just bring it over to PowerPoint, I hope. Let's see if it'll come up. Yeah. Look at that bad boy. Okay. And as I like to do, copy all that. Very good. Oh, look at that. That's disgusting. So I'm just trying out something on the stream right now. It's really a tech basically a tech, not demo, but I'm just trying to make sure what I want to try to do is going to work. What I want to try to do is to I'm having an issue here. One sec. It's to see really if I can dissect papers in an easy way or meaningful way, using easy software that's easy to watch and easy to use for me. So you'll see there's a lot of just manipulating stuff in like Office, just to get it to be readable. Okay, so let's break this down. All right, so this is kind of a big thing. See if I can just separate just a little bit. Okay. Very good. So this is the abstract. So to minimize transmission of coronavirus, or COVID-19 of the virus, transmission of the virus, novel responsible for COVID-19, CDC and WHO recommend wearing face masks in public. Yes. Remember this, important. Do it. Overall purpose. Some have expressed concern. Yeah, and you know who those some are sometimes. May affect cardiopulmonary system by increasing the work of breathing. All right, so this is kind of like the biomechanical, physiological phrasing of it, right? These concerns have been derived largely from studies evaluating devices intentionally designed to severely affect. Evaluating studies intentionally designed to severely affect respiratory mechanisms and gas exchange. That's interesting. Like, what studies have been done on devices intentionally designed to do that? We reviewed literature on the effects of various face masks and respirators. Blah blah, cloth, surgical, N95s, as you all know. Overall, the available data suggests that although dyspnea may be increase and alter perceived effort with activity, the effects of the work of breathing, right? Blood gases and other physiological parameters imposed by face masks during physical are small, often too small to be detected, even during heavy exercise. Yeah, so I mean, that's kind of the main thrust. This is apparently just a review, so like it's not that, or maybe it's a meta-analysis. It's probably a bit of a meta, but like there's not much of it's not much of a question that they're looking at. So let me bring up the paper. It's gonna be hard. It's hard for me to read it before it's formatted. I know it's supposed to be easier if it's double spaced, but you know, it kind of, in case you're not very into the journal scene or science or reading scientific papers, usually I'll have something that's really nicely formatted, and that's usually done by the journal itself. And before it's formatted, as a researcher and an author of the paper, you basically write it up as something like this, just a normal, however you would have written an essay in school or whatever. And then you send it along with all the important data and everything to the journal, and they have professionals to make it look all nice and pretty. And that's what I love. I like reading the nice, pretty papers, and for me, these are a little tough sometimes. Yeah. So what I did before was kind of just look at the abstract, and I don't think it's very I don't want to say impressive because that makes it sound like I don't appreciate the work, but yeah, it's not that rigorous, right? So I don't know what I want to say with this paper. Like, cool. While the available data suggests that negative effects of using cloth or surgical face masks during physical activity in healthy individuals are negligible and unlikely to impact exercise tolerance, for some individuals with severe cardiopulmonary disease. I mean, this is just like common sense for anyone who's not like, you know, off the deep end. Like, again, right? Doctors, nurses, they wear masks all the time. Many times they're running around, saving lives, you know, doing that important work. And obviously sometimes they take them off, take a breather. I don't know. So that's not very useful. So what I think I'm going to do right now is just, I want to go back to Reddit and see what's hopping there. That's kind of fun. I think it's kind of cool to like browse through it. And then we'll type up whatever. Let's do a little, let's go to science, right? Turns out the best place for science. And if anyone's watching, feel free to hop in the chat. And if you know of a certain study or something you want to talk about, or if you do research yourself and you want to chat about that, that's totally cool too. I like hearing what people are looking up and researching and working on, even if it's not formal. Like me, I'm not a COVID-19 person, but obviously with everything, it's interesting to look into. All right, so yesterday, I was starting to look at this high dose vitamin D study, but it was like in 30, yeah, so that's what someone said, and 16, and then the other arm had like 20 something people. Wait, no, that's not even right. So the control group had 24 people. So like the control group was smaller than the intervention. So it's hard to, I don't see many studies that are done that way, but also larger studies are obviously have a lot more going on. But this was a tiny, it was 40 people. Here we go. Here's something more interesting. Let's see if it's available. All right. Let's open in Adobe. Here we go. So when was this from? It must have been earlier in the year. July. Received July. Revised August. Accepted August. Cool. So that's not too bad. That is like just a few months ago, and this is I was just looking up where this was. It's in Spain. So obviously compared to the US, Spain, this is probably looking at London, or not London, Europe in general. Okay, no, it's just a hospital setting in Spain. Oh, it's hard for me to read this, so let me push that out a little bit. So apparently this was a randomly controlled study. It's 76, which still isn't huge. Consecutive patients hospitalized for COVID, confirm radiographic pattern of pneumonia. Yep. All hospitalized patients received as best available therapy, the same standard care. Yep. In combination of hydroxychloroquine, chloroquine, however you want to say it, along with azithromycin, right? That was what the whole hubbub was about, when certain people were promoting it, pre-FDA approval or whatever you want to talk about that. I'm not going to comment too much. So patients on calcifidiol, that's basically vitamin D, continue with oral on day 3. So we can look back at that, because I think this kind of varies sometimes. In the previous study, the one I was just looking at, looked like, what were they doing? They basically gave patients some vitamin D, and then they gave patients with who were COVID-19 positive vitamin D, and tried to see if they cleared the virus any faster by basically testing with PCR and just making sure if they detected any more RNA. But that was also, again, that was a low sample size and it was not very helpful. This is basically the same kind of thing. So don't know what to say about that. All right, well, this was just a quick test stream. I wanted to make sure things were in here and make sure that everything was working well for when I do a longer streaming session. I want to be able to take questions and answer them and just have a good chat with anyone who pops in. I know it's I'm just starting to stream this stuff, and So there probably won't be anyone for a long time. But also, it's fun for me because like it gives me time to just read stuff. Let's go back to Reddit. So that's what I was looking at yesterday a little more. Oh, nutritional analysis of foods and beverages depicted. Oh, that's gonna be depressing. Yep. Vitamin D has been like big lately. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why. Maybe because it's like the easiest thing to just try to take. Age is no barrier to successful weight loss. Like I think I clicked on that before, but there was not a free article. Oh, I started doing it. I need to finish doing a video on this. The smartwatches. It was interesting. Like it's an interesting topic. So it really came down to they had a ton of volunteers, almost 5,300 volunteers sign up for this study where they allowed themselves to be monitored through their smartwatches, I guess. And something like 30 of them came down with COVID-19. And of those people who had confirmed cases, like 80% of them, I believe, showed some kind of deviation in their normal heart rate or sleep pattern or step count before they were symptomatic with COVID-19. That was kind of cool. What's up? What's up? Yep, so it's all good. And that's kind of a cool that watch one. That's something I'm gonna play out a little more on my YouTube channel. If you want to go there, I'm gonna kind of build it out and see if there's anything really to it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed looking at the paper's really pretty, actually. This is the one I'm talking about. So they basically found like, and again, it's a small number, but of the 32 people, 26 of them had alterations in their heart rate, steps, or time of sleep. And I think alterations, that takes into account what they were normally before they became infected with COVID-19. And that was those alterations were, I guess, I don't know if it's predictive, but they hope it's predictive, right? So they found that it was, correlated with their time of developing symptoms. So 22 were detected before or at symptom onset. So again, I'm gonna build that out a little more in my YouTube video on that. So if you want to go follow there, it's just Casual Nerd Jason at YouTube, or at YouTube, on YouTube. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one there. Let's see, anything interesting? If you guys have anything interesting in chat, feel free to send it through, because I'm always happy to chat about your work or someone else's work that you find interesting. Oh, a sleep study. Well, not a sleep study, a study about sleep. Healthy habits lower. Yeah, of course they do. Like, we all need sleep. Adults with the healthiest sleep patterns had 42% lower risk of heart failure, regardless of other risk factors compared to adults with unhealthy sleep patterns. Yeah, so get sleep, man. I mean, that's huge, actually. With unhealthy, regardless of other risk factors. So like other risk factors include things like diabetes, obesity, man, I mean, there's a lot. Hypertension, right? That's actually surprising if that's what, if that's accurate. What I need the paper. Give me the paper. Give me the paper. Yep, here. Okay. Well, all right. After adjusting for diabetes, hypertension, medication use. Well, okay. Well, those are risk factors. So, regardless, or I don't know, guys. I don't know if I actually anyway. So where is the link to the paper? Or do I have to go find it myself? Or am I just dumb? Is it like right there? I mean, this is AHA. Their journal is Circulation. So like that's their journal, I believe. Multimedia is available on the room. This is the same thing. All right, so let's go find this. All right, go to, in case you're not familiar, go to PubMed. You do something crazy, like put all that in there, you get nothing back. So here we go. There's no way this is gonna be free. I don't know why I'm bothering. It is free, guys. It is free. It's free. Or I should not say free. It's open access. So give me that PDF. Open that PDF with Adobe. I need to change my browser settings. Here we go. All right, guys. UK Biobank. It's a research letter. Oh, okay. So it's like it's not a full on report here. But look at these numbers. We excluded participants with heart failure. Okay, so heart failure affects a lot of people. Sleep behaviors are multifaceted. However, the majority of previous studies did not consider the complex nature of overall sleep pattern. They did not. They should have, though. That's where they went wrong. We recently generated and validated a healthy sleep pattern that incorporated 5 different sleep behaviors. In the current study, we prospectively investigated the relationship between this healthy sleep pattern and the risk of heart failure. Wow, so they study. Is that right? Alright, guys, so the cool thing about nationalized healthcare, obviously we don't have this in the US. One of the cool things is that you get these huge studies that have all these people, and the UK is much smaller than the US. Think of how much we would have if we had this available US wise. Anyway, leaving a total of 408, almost 409,000 participants for the analysis. So among these 409,000 study participants, a total of about 5,200 cases of heart failure were recorded during the 10 years. Okay. I mean, that's not an insignificant amount. The healthy sleep score, so I guess they analyzed, it's kind of retrospective, right? They followed this or they looked at the population of people, and looked at the, oh wait, let's see if that's actually right. So when did they start looking? When did they start looking? Oh, prospectively. I said that before. Okay, so at the time of recruitment, so that during this period, you know, up to 14 years ago, they initiated this study, and I guess they got buy-in by the people. And the review board of Tulane University. Interesting. I thought this was all UK, so I guess I'm wrong. Yeah, there's a lot to dissect in this little paper here. I'm going to keep it and look at it a little later, I think. So I always like to go through and just look at what the figures are in general, right? So hazard ratios of heart failure by healthy sleep. So in case you're not familiar with what a hazard ratio is, it's essentially a measure of comparing two groups and seeing which one is kind of what it sounds like, which one has more not adverse events. I don't want to say that. That's kind of has a specific meaning. Which one has the negative outcome more often? Or I guess the desired outcome, if you want to think of it the other way. So usually, let's see here. And then you're able to do statistics on it to see if it's significant. So it's measuring populations of people here. Okay. So they had this not arbitrary, but this way of developing a healthy sleep score. And I guess they compared it to, oh boy, and they did a couple different models. So it's a little hard without reading the full thing, kind of doing this ad hoc. But essentially, wait, let me make sure this is right. Usually, if the two treatments were equal, the value would be 1, right? So you have the one group that you're comparing to the other, the ratio would be 1, right? Because like 5 divided by 5 equals 1. So that's kind of the idea behind it. And usually, in order to in order to say that one treatment is better or something, or one treatment's, I guess, more significant, you would want to see that the mean number, the mean ratio, along with its 95% confidence interval, which is basically the statistical term for saying we're fairly certain that the true value is somewhere in this range, if you want to simplify it that way. You want to make sure that this confidence interval is less than 1 when you're comparing the two things, and that way you could say this is statistically, to our understanding, different. So the treatment that we've added is significantly different. And then if you want, you can kind of say that, you know, this value is, 30 or 23% lower than the not. So I don't know what value they said with 42%. We would have to look for like 68 or something like that. Again, just kind of breezing through this. I'd love to like just read it. And I think I will a little later. I kind of want to get into games though. I'm a little tired. I think it's, it's been, work has been crazy. And I do a lot of this science stuff for my work. And I talk mostly about obesity and diabetes. So jumping into things like COVID-19 are kind of interesting and fun. And I enjoy doing it. You'll give me 1 second. I just need to. And again, if you like what you see here, I'm trying to draft some more videos for YouTube, and that way people can find out how to like understand papers, how to approach scientific journals, things like that, to really kind of help out scientific literacy. I think it's fun. I think it's good. As we've all seen lately, people could use a little more scientific understanding, and you don't have to be a scientist. That's the best thing. You don't have to be a scientist. And one of the good things about being a scientist is that usually you basically learn how to learn other things, right? And that's really important. I think learning how to learn is super, super important. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in, or if you want to say what you study or what you're interested in, feel free to do that too. Let me look at one more thing on. I'm going to see if I can pull up one more thing on Reddit. I'm very bad at tab management, especially when I'm streaming. Let's just do our science again. Oh, interesting. This is study finds that children. Let's look. The cool thing, also the good thing about COVID-19, if there's anything good, which there's very little, very, very little good about it, is that a lot of the research is actually open access. A lot of it isn't. Here we go. Let me just make sure this is gonna be good. Okay, this looks good. So I'm just saving it down on my computer before I go on. And this came out yesterday. It's in all 2020. And this is what journal? Science. And if you're not aware, Science, pretty high up there. It's hard to get a more prestigious journal. Yeah, Science, Nature, Lancet. Those are the biggest ones I can think of. And then you get a little more specialized. All right, so I'm just gonna scan through this quick. Oh, this is a doozy. This is a doozy. It's exciting though. A doozy, but exciting. But also I want to play Destiny 2 because I just started getting back into that, and I hooked up my Xbox One S, the one that I've had it for like 5 years now, 4 or 5 years, and I haven't played in like 3 years. And I was hoping it would allow me to play Destiny, and it does. And I got Game Pass, and it's awesome. And I wish I had more time to play it. So anyway, I'm going to play that, I think, right after this until any of the kids wake up or whatever. It's nap time. So let's look in here real quick. And if you have anything to add, feel free to say hi. We got transmission of heterogeneities, kinetics, and controllability of SARS. Oh boy. So this is more than just paper. This is more than just children. I think that's what the line on Reddit was, but this is, oh boy. Okay. How big is the scope? Let's read the abstract. Let's read it here. I'm trying to make it large enough so everyone can see it. Let me know if you have an issue with that. I hope that's good. So, the long-standing question in infectious disease dynamics concerns the role of transmission heterogeneities driven by demography, behavior, and interventions based on detailed patient and contact tracing data. In Hunan, China, we find 80%. Okay, so it's important to always, keep track of what the population is, right? Sometimes where it is, because that might affect the data collection. Who the patients are. Is it children? Is it adults? Is it sick? Is it everyone? So things like that are really important to keep in mind when you're looking at the data and the outcomes, or whatever the results are, I guess. So based on detailed patient and contact tracing data, we find 80% of secondary infections traced back to 15% of SARS. So 80% of secondary infections traced back to 15% of COVID primary infections, indicating substantial transmission heterogeneities. Transmission risk scales positively with duration of exposure and the closeness of social interactions, hence social distancing, as you all know, and you're probably doing right now. And if you're watching me, I hope you're socially distancing and not just around other people, because it's going to be very boring. The lockdown period increases transmission risk in the family and households. That makes sense, right? You're locked in, blah, blah, blah. While isolation and quarantine reduce risks across all types of contacts. Oh boy, this is hurting my head already. Okay. The reconstructed infectiousness profile of a typical COVID-19 SARS-CoV-2 patient peaks just before the symptom presentation. Oh. Yeah, so that's bad news, right? That is bad news. That's actually like one of the worst things I've read concerning all this, right? Oh. So that looks like, hey kid. So like, I think we're gonna go outside soon. Huh? Oh, hi dog. Bye. The kid was here. Yeah, so what I was saying is that the reconstructed infectiousness profile of a typical patient peaks just before their symptoms. So like, think about it. If you were exposed, let's say 10 days ago, and you're feeling fine, no apparent symptoms, you might think, oh, okay, I don't have it. No problem. And then you get sick the next day, you were actually, you had peak infectiousness. Well, I should say, I have to read this more, because maybe it's just the overall and not by, oops. Jalen. No, Jalen, not while I'm on the computer. No, this is bad. Okay, well, someone disconnected my video. But I think you can still hear my audio, and I'll just found out this thought that, I don't know if nothing's coming back right now. Maybe, let's see. Okay. Well, my camera doesn't want to turn back on, so I'll finish out this thought and then I'll take a break. the idea that I was fiddling around with, right, is that if the peak infectiousness of an individual is right before they get sick, right? Like think 12 to 24 hours before they get sick, that's horrible because they're feeling fine probably, and they think they're okay to be around others, and they haven't quite hit the quarantine threshold where we believe it's safer for them to be around others, and they feel fine, so they could be spreading it more. But that might be different from what this paper is saying, in that it's the reconstructed infectiousness profile. So it's more of an average of people as opposed to a specific person. And so I guess that's what I'm going to look into a little later when I look at this paper more. Okay. Well, if you're watching, thanks for joining me. And, I hope you join me again. You can find some more content on my YouTube channel, which is Casual Nerd Jason. And I love watching Star Wars, talking about Star Wars, love playing video games, all that normal cool nerd stuff. So if you want to say hi, and if not, I hope you have a great day.